When Emma finally breaks free from her abusive marriage, she thinks the nightmare is over. But in a dramatic courthouse confrontation, a mysterious billionaire named Oliver Bennett steps in to protect her hand. Everything changes. What starts as a rescue becomes a dangerous game of secrets, lies, deadly betrayals. Asterisk, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Like dying insects, as Emma Rosefield pressed her back against the cold courthouse wall. Her 5-year-old daughter, Sophie, clutched a threadbare teddy bear, its button eyes reflecting the harsh institutional lighting. The hallway smelled of disinfectant and fear. "Mommy, will the bad man go away now?" Sophie's whisper barely rose. Above the echo of footsteps on marble floors, Emma's throat constricted. 6 years of marriage to Derek had taught her that promises were dangerous things. "I hope so, baby." The courtroom doors groaned open. Judge Hamilton emerged first, her silver hair pulled back severely, followed by Emma's pro bono lawyer Patricia. Then came Derek, his tailored suit unable to disguise the predator underneath. His gray eyes found Emma immediately, and his smile was a blade drawn in shadow. "This isn't over," he hissed as he passed. "You think some piece of paper will protect you?" Before Emma could shrink away, a voice cut through the air like steel. "Actually, I believe it will." A man stepped forward from the gallery seating. Tall, with dark hair and brown eyes that seemed to catalog everything, his charcoal suit was expensive. But his posture suggested something more dangerous than wealth: authority, control. Derek's face flushed. "Who the hell are you?" The stranger's expression remained perfectly calm. "Someone who doesn't appreciate threats in a courthouse." He pulled out his phone, especially recorded ones. Derek's lawyer grabbed his arm, whispering urgently about parole violations. As they retreated down the hallway, the stranger turned to Emma. "You're safe now," he said softly. Emma stared at him, her pulse racing. In 6 years with Derek, no one had ever stood up for her. No one had ever made her husband back down with just words. "Who are you?" she whispered. He knelt to Sophie's level, his stern features softening. "My name is Oliver Bennett. Look very brave." Sophie peeked out from behind. Emma's leg. "Are you one of the good guys?" Oliver's smile was gentle, but Emma caught something darker flickering in his eyes. Something that looked almost like recognition. "I try to be." As they walked toward the courthouse exit, Emma felt the weight of Oliver's gaze. He had saved them today, but something about his too perfect timing, his too calm demeanor, made her wonder, what did Oliver Bennett want in return? Outside, the Atlanta sun felt like freedom on her face. But when she turned to thank him again, Oliver was watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Mrs. Rosefield," he said, handing her an elegant business card. "I run a foundation that helps women in your situation. We provide housing, job training, protection." He paused, no strings attached. Emma studied the card, Bennett Foundation. The address was in one of Atlanta's most exclusive districts. "Why would you help us?" she asked. "You don't even know us." Oliver was quiet for a long moment, his eyes distant. "Let's just say I have my reasons." As he walked away, Emma felt a chill despite the warm sun. Oliver Bennett had appeared like an answer to prayer. But something in his voice, when he'd said those last words, made her wonder if she'd just traded one form of captivity for another. Sophie tugged at her hand. "Mommy, I liked the nice man. He scared the monster away." Emma watched Oliver's black sedan disappear into traffic. "Yes, sweetheart, he did." But as they stood on the courthouse steps, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that Oliver Bennett was keeping secrets of his own, and that whatever had brought him into their lives today was far from coincidence. 2 weeks later, Emma stood in the marble lobby of the Bennett Foundation, Sophie's small hand warm in hers. The building rose around them like a cathedral of glass and steel, intimidating in its perfection. Abstract paintings worth more than Emma's old house lined the walls. "Mrs. Rosefield." Oliver's voice echoed across the lobby. He approached wearing another impeccable suit, but there was something different about him today. Tension in his shoulders, shadows under his eyes. "Oliver," Emma said, still uncomfortable with first names. Thank you for seeing us. He knelt too. Sophie's level. How are you settling in, sweetheart? We have our own apartment now, Sophie said proudly. And Mommy got a job at the pretty cafe with flowers. That's wonderful. Oliver's smile seemed forced. Sophie, would you like to see our children's library while your mother and I talk? Ms. Chen can show you. The shelter coordinator Emma recognized from court appeared as if summoned. Something about the woman's deference to Oliver struck Emma as odd. This was his foundation, but Miss Chen acted like an employee afraid of disappointing her boss. Once Sophie was gone, Oliver led Emma to his office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but heavy curtains were drawn, casting everything in artificial twilight. You look troubled, Emma said, settling into a leather chair that probably cost more than her monthly salary. Oliver moved to a bar cart and poured himself whiskey, despite it being barely noon. I've been thinking about your situation. Derek. What about him? Men like your ex-husband don't give up easily. Oliver's voice was flat, professional. They see women as possessions, property to be reclaimed. Emma's stomach clenched. The restraining order is a piece of paper. Oliver turned to face her, and something in his expression made her pulse quicken. Derek Rosefield has been asking questions. About you? About Sophie? About me? The whiskey glass trembled in Emma's hand. How do you know that? I make it my business to know things. Oliver moved closer, his presence both comforting and overwhelming, especially when it concerns people under my protection. Your protection? Oliver knelt beside her chair, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Cedar and something darker. Emma, I need you to understand something. The foundation isn't just about housing and job placement. We provide other services, more comprehensive security. What kind of security? The kind that ensures men like Derek never hurt anyone again. Emma's blood chilled. Oliver, what are you saying? Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. His face went rigid as he read the message. We need to go. Now. He moved to his desk, pulled out a key, and unlocked a drawer. Inside was a handgun. Emma's. World tilted. Oliver, what? Derek is at Sophie's school? His voice was arctic calm as he slipped the gun into his shoulder holster. He convinced them he was picking her up early. Emma's scream died in her throat. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This was her worst nightmare, the monster she'd fled finding her baby. My car's in the garage, Oliver said, already moving. Emma, look at me. She met his eyes, and what she saw there was both terrifying and reassuring. This wasn't just kindness or charity. This was something primal, protective, dangerous. I will get Sophie back, he said. But you need to trust me completely. No questions, no hesitations. Can you do that? Emma nodded, not trusting her voice. As they rushed toward the elevator, Emma realized she was about to discover exactly what kind of man Oliver Bennett really was. And that whatever secrets he'd been hiding, she was about to become complicit. In them, the elevator doors closed with a soft ding, sealing them in together. Oliver checked his gun with practiced efficiency.
Oliver,
Emma whispered. Who are you really? His brown eyes met hers in the polished steel reflection of the elevator. Doors. Someone who understands that sometimes the system fails. And when it does, other measures become necessary. The elevator descended into darkness, carrying them toward a reckoning Emma sensed would change everything. And as Oliver's hand found hers, she wondered if she was being rescued or recruited into something far more dangerous than the life she'd left behind. Oliver's black Mercedes cut through Atlanta traffic like a predator. Emma gripped the door handle as he weaved between cars, his phone pressed to his ear.
Ass!
I need eyes on the elementary school. Now. His voice was clipped, authoritative. Derek Rosefield, 6'2", brown hair, driving a silver BMW. He has the girl. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. How did you know Derek's car? Oliver glanced at her, his jaw tight. I've been watching him since the courthouse. Watching him? The words came out strangled. For 2 weeks. Emma, there are things. You don't understand, things I should have told you. took a sharp turn that threw her against the door. Derek isn't just your abusive ex-husband. He's connected to some very dangerous people. What are you talking about? Oliver's phone buzzed. He answered on speaker. Bennett. Sir, we found the BMW abandoned at the MARTA station on Spring Street. No sign of the girl or Rosefield. Emma's world collapsed. Oh God, oh God. Sophie, check the security cameras, Oliver commanded. What? And get me satellite feeds for the surrounding area. He's still in the city. Oliver disconnected and pulled into an empty parking lot. His hands shook as he gripped the steering wheel. Oliver, please, Emma whispered. Tell me what's happening. He turned to face her, and she saw something raw in his expression. Pain, guilt. 5 years ago, my sister Grace was married to a man named Vincent Cross. Charming on the surface, monster underneath. Sound familiar? Emma nodded, her throat tight. Vincent was involved with human trafficking, used his legitimate businesses. As Franz, Grace found out and tried to leave with evidence that would have destroyed his entire operation. What happened? Vincent killed her. Oliver's voice was barely above a whisper, made it look like a car accident. By the time I figured out what really happened, Vincent had disappeared. Gone underground. Emma's blood turned to ice. Derek, is Vincent Cross? He's been using false identities for years, moving from city to city, finding vulnerable women, to use as cover while he rebuilds his network. Oliver's hands clenched into fists. When I saw him in that courthouse, I knew. Same face, same eyes, same predator's smile. The pieces crashed together in Emma's mind. You've been hunting him for 5 years? And when I found him, I found you and Sophie. I thought I could protect you both while I gathered enough evidence to destroy him completely. So you used us as bait. Oliver flinched. At first, yes. But Emma, everything changed when I met you. When I saw how brave you were, how much you loved Sophie. His voice cracked. I was supposed to stay detached. Professional, but you didn't. No, I fell in love with you both. And now, because of my mistakes, because I waited too long to act, he has Sophie. Emma stared at him, processing the betrayal, and the confession in equal measure. The man she'd been falling for had orchestrated their entire meeting, used her child as leverage in his quest for revenge, but he'd also saved them, protected them, loved them. Oliver's phone rang again. Bennett. Sir, we've got something. Security footage shows Rosefield boarding a private jet at Charlie Brown Airport 20 minutes ago. Flight plan filed for Mexico City. Emma's world shattered. He's taking her out of the country. Not if I can help it. Oliver started the engine. Marcus scrambled the helicopter. Full tactical team. We're going to intercept. As they sped toward the airport, Emma grabbed Oliver's arm. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. This is going to be dangerous. She's my daughter. Emma's voice was steel. If you think I'm sitting in a car while you try to save her, you don't know me at all. Oliver studied her face, and she saw the moment he recognized the iron core that had helped her survive 6 years with a monster. There's something else, he said quietly. If we do this, if we go after Derek together, there's no going back. What I'm about to do isn't legal. It isn't clean. Are you prepared for that? Emma thought of Sophie's terrified face, her small hands clutching stir buttons. She thought of all the nights she'd lain awake praying for someone strong enough to fight back against the darkness. Yes, she whispered. As they roared toward the private airfield, Emma realized she was about to cross a line she could never uncross. But for Sophie, for the chance to end Derek's reign of terror once and for all, she would follow Oliver Bennett into hell itself. The question was, would either of them survive what came next? The helicopter's rotors cut through the evening sky as Oliver's tactical team surrounded Charlie Brown Airport. Emma watched through night vision scopes as Derek's private jet sat idle on the tarmac, stairs still down. He's still here, Marcus. Oliver's security chief reported through their headsets. Thermal shows 3 bodies in the main cabin. Emma's heart clenched. 3 bodies. Derek, Sophie, and someone else. Could be a pilot, Oliver said, but his voice was tight with concern. They rappelled from the helicopter in coordinated silence, Emma's hands shaking as she gripped the rope. Oliver had insisted she wear tactical gear, and the weight of the bulletproof vest reminded her how far she'd traveled from the terrified woman in the courthouse. The jet's interior was luxurious. Cream, leather, and polished wood. Emma followed Oliver up the stairs, her borrowed pistol heavy in her hands. He'd taught her to shoot during the short helicopter ride, his instructions clinical and efficient. Safety off. Aim center mass. Don't hesitate. The main cabin was empty. Movement in the cockpit, Marcus whispered. They advanced carefully. Weapons raised. The cockpit door hung open, revealing a scene that made Emma's blood freeze. Derek sat in the pilot's seat, very much alive. Sophie was beside him, unconscious but breathing, secured with zip ties. And behind them, Marcus lay motionless, blood pooling beneath his head. "Hello, Emma." Derek's voice was calm, conversational. "Oliver, let her go, Vincent." Oliver's gun never wavered. "This is between us." Derek laughed, the same cruel sound that had haunted Emma's nightmares. "Vincent, you still think this is about your dead sister?" He stood slowly, Sophie's limp form in his arms. "This was never about Grace. It was always about you." Oliver's face went white. "What are you talking about? 5 years ago, when your sister supposedly discovered my trafficking operation?" Derek's smile was razor sharp. "She didn't stumble onto anything. She was working for me. It'd been for months." "You're lying. Grace was my inside woman in your family's shipping business." "All those humanitarian supplies you moved through your ports? Half of them were covers for my cargo." Derek shifted Sophie, and Emma saw her daughter's eyelids flutter. "Your sister was a willing participant until she got greedy and tried to blackmail me." Oliver's gun trembled. "No, Grace would never. Grace would do anything for money and excitement, including seducing her own brother's business partner to get information about your security protocols." Emma saw the moment the truth hit Oliver. Like a physical blow, his shoulders sagged, his grip on the gun loosened. "That's impossible," he whispered. Derek pulled out his phone and played a video. Emma could see Grace Bennett's face clearly. Counting stacks of money while laughing with Derek about Oliver's Bleeding Heart Foundation. The timestamp showed the video was taken a week before her death. "She was going to leave you bankrupt and broken," Derek continued. "So yes, I killed her, but not for the reasons you thought." Oliver's gun dropped to his side. Foundation of his 5-year quest for vengeance had crumbled in seconds. "Now," Derek said, pulling a knife to Sophie's throat, "you're going to transfer $50 million from the Bennett Foundation accounts to my offshore holdings, and then you're going to let me walk away." "Hurt, Mommy?" Sophie's small voice cut through the tension. He was awake, her blue eyes wide with terror. "Sophie." Emma stepped forward, but Derek pressed the knife closer. "Stay back, or she bleeds." Oliver slowly reached for his phone. "I'll make the transfer, smart man." Derek's victorious smile faltered when he noticed something. "Wait, where's Marcus?" Emma's heart pounded. Marcus was supposed to be covering the rear of the plane. "Right here," came a voice from behind Derek. But it wasn't Marcus. It was Ms. Chen, the shelter coordinator, holding a very large gun. "Sandra?" Emma gasped. "Hello, Emma, Vincent?" Ms. Chen's voice was different now, harder, professional. "You've led us quite a chase." Derek spun, knife still at Sophie's throat. "Who the hell are you?" "FBI Special Agent Sandra Chen and Vincent Cross. You're under arrest for human trafficking, murder, and about 15 other federal charges." Derek's face went deadly calm. "You think one FBI agent is going to stop me?" "Not one agent." Cabin filled with red laser dots as a dozen snipers took position outside the aircraft windows. "My entire task force has been tracking you for 2 years." Emma's world tilted again. "Your FBI?" "I'm sorry for the deception," Agent Chen said, not taking her eyes off Derek. "But we needed Vincent to feel safe enough to come out of hiding. Oliver's Foundation was the perfect bait." "Bait?" Oliver's voice was hollow. "You've been using us too? The Foundation is legitimate? Your desire for justice was real. We just guided it in the right direction." Derek's grip on Sophie tightened. Very touching. "But I still have the girl, and I'm still walking out of here." "Actually," Agent Chen said calmly, "you're not." The lights went out. In the chaos that followed, Emma heard Sophie scream, "Derek!" curse, and the sound of Oliver's gun firing twice in quick succession. When emergency lighting flickered on, Derek lay motionless on the cockpit floor. Oliver knelt beside Sophie, cutting her restraints with shaking hands. "Mommy." Sophie launched herself into Emma's arms, sobbing. Agent Chen holstered her weapon. "It's over. Vincent Cross is dead." But as Emma held her daughter and looked at Oliver's shattered expression, she realized that while one nightmare had ended, another kind of reckoning was just beginning. They had all been pieces in someone else's game. And now they had to figure out how to live with the choices they'd made and the truths they'd discovered. Oliver met Emma's eyes across the dim cabin. The man who had saved her, used her, and loved her was now as broken as she had once been. "What happens now?" Emma whispered. The question hung in the air like smoke because none of them knew the answer. 6 months later, Emma stood in the empty offices of the Bennett Foundation. Cardboard boxes lined the marble hallways, and dust motes danced in the afternoon sunlight, streaming through uncovered windows. The FBI had seized most of Oliver's assets. During their investigation, though, they'd eventually cleared him of any wrongdoing. Sophie played quietly in the corner, her new stuffed elephant replacing the worn Mr. Buttons she'd finally outgrown. The counseling sessions had helped, but Emma still caught her daughter checking locks and looking over her shoulder sometimes. "You came." Emma turned to find Oliver in the doorway. 6 months had aged him years. His hair was grayer, his expensive suits replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. But his brown eyes still held that intensity that had first captured her. "Attention in the courthouse? You asked me to." He moved carefully into the room, as if afraid she might bolt. "I wanted to give you this." He held out an envelope. "The deed to your apartment. It's yours now, free and clear." Emma took the envelope but didn't open it. "Oliver, I can't accept you can. You earned it." He gestured at the empty space. "Around them, this place, everything I built. It was all constructed on a lie. My sister's lie. My need for revenge. The FBI's manipulation." His voice was raw. "But what we had, what we felt for each other, that was real." Emma's chest tightened. "Was it? How can I know what was real when everything else was a performance? Because I made the choice to love you." Oliver stepped closer, and she didn't retreat. "Agent Chen gave me a way out 6 months ago. I could have walked away when Derek took. Sophie, left it to the FBI, protected myself. But you didn't, no. Because somewhere between protecting you out of duty and protecting you out of love, everything changed." He reached out tentatively, his fingers brushing hers. "I chose you, Emma. I chose Sophie. Even when it meant giving up everything I thought I wanted." Emma studied his face, seeing the man who had stood up to Derek in the courthouse, who had taught her to shoot in a helicopter, who had held Sophie while she cried after the nightmares. "Agent Chen offered me a job," she said quietly. Oliver's eyebrows rose. "With the FBI?" "Victim services, helping other women who've been trafficked or abused. She says I have insight they need." Emma paused. "Good benefits. Security clearance. The kind of stable future Sophie deserves. That's wonderful." Oliver's smile was genuine despite the sadness in his eyes. "He'll be amazing at it. There's a training facility in Virginia. We'd have to move." The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. "I'm not asking you to wait for me," Emma continued. "I'm not asking you to uproot your life again. But if you wanted to start over somewhere new, somewhere without all these ghosts." Oliver's breath caught. "Emma, are you saying I'm saying that Derek is dead? Grace is dead. The lies are over." Emma stepped closer, her hand finding his. "But we're still here. Sophie's still here. And maybe it's time to stop running from the past and start building something real." Sophie looked up from her elephant. "Mr. Oliver, are you coming with us to Virginia?" Oliver knelt beside her, his eyes suspiciously bright. "Would you like me to, sweetheart?" "Yes. You make Mommy smile." Sophie's matter-of-fact tone made both adults laugh. "And you're really good at scaring away monsters." Emma met Oliver's gaze over her daughter's head. "We've all been broken by the monsters in our lives. Derek, Grace, the FBI, our own mistakes. She reached out and touched his cheek. But maybe broken people can help fix each other. Oliver covered her hand with his own. I love you, Emma Rosefield. Not because you needed saving, not because you were part of some plan, but because you're the strongest, most resilient person I've ever met. I love you too, Emma whispered. Despite everything, because of everything. They kissed then, soft and tentative at first, then with the desperate relief of two people who had found their way back to each other through the wreckage of their lives. Sophie giggled. Does this mean we're going to be a real family now? Emma pulled back from Oliver's. Embrace her heart full for the first time in years. Yes, baby, I think it does. Outside the windows of the empty foundation, Atlanta bustled with life. Somewhere in the city, other women were trapped in situations like Emma had been. Other children were afraid of the monsters in their own homes. There would always be more work to do, more battles to fight. But for the first time since that rainy day in the courthouse, Emma felt ready to face whatever came next. She had survived Derek's abuse, the FBI's manipulation, and the shattering of her illusions about the man she loved. She had learned that love wasn't about perfect people making perfect choices. It was about broken people choosing each other again and again. Despite the scars and secrets and mistakes that made them human, Oliver lifted Sophie onto his shoulders, and Emma watched her daughter laugh with pure joy.
Oh.
They walked together. Toward the exit, toward Virginia, toward a future they would build with their own hands. The foundation was empty now, its purpose fulfilled in ways Oliver had never intended. But as the three of them stepped into the Atlanta sunshine, Emma realized they were carrying something more valuable than money or revenge with them. They were carrying hope at the end. Like if this story kept you on the edge of your seat, comment. What you think Oliver's real motive was? Subscribe for more intense psychological thrillers.